Have you ever considered the importance of making mistakes in the learning process? It might seem counterintuitive, but errors are actually critical stepping stones on the path to knowledge. When we stumble, we're given a unique opportunity to pause, reflect, and ultimately grow. Imagine, if you will, learning as a journey. Each mistake is not a pitfall but rather a signpost that says, hey, there's something important to be learned here. These signposts guide us, helping us navigate the vast landscape of knowledge. And while it's often tempting to view mistakes as failures, it's essential to shift our perspective. Instead of seeing an error as a dead end, think of it as a detour, a chance to explore new routes and discover uncharted territories of understanding. So let's flip the script on errors. Let's recognize them for what they truly are: invaluable teachers in the school of life. Let's delve deeper into how making errors can actually enhance our learning experience. Imagine a world where everything is perfect and you never make a mistake. Sounds idyllic, right? But consider this. Without challenges, without the need to rectify our errors, would we ever truly grow? It's in the face of error that we learn to think critically and solve problems. Take for instance the story of a young inventor. She had a brilliant idea for a new gadget, but her first prototype failed to work as she expected. Instead of giving up, she considered this failure not as a setback, but as a problem to be solved. She started questioning her design, her materials, her approach. She analyzed every detail, thought critically, and came up with a new, improved design. Her error had not just corrected her path, it had honed her problem-solving skills, sharpening her mind for future challenges. In the face of error, we learn to think critically and solve problems. Embrace the challenge and let your mistakes guide you towards growth. Remember when you fell off your bike as a kid but you got back on and kept trying until you could ride without falling? That was your first lesson in resilience. You see, resilience is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. And there's no better gym for resilience than the school of mistakes. Every time we err and bounce back, we're developing our ability to handle challenges. We're learning that setbacks aren't the end of the world, but rather, they're stepping stones to success. They're opportunities to grow, to adapt, and to improve. Imagine if Thomas Edison had given up after his first failed attempt at creating the light bulb. We might still be in the dark, but he made over 1,000 mistakes before he succeeded. And that's the power of resilience. It's the determination to keep going, to learn from errors, and to never give up, no matter how many times we stumble. Mistakes make us stronger and more resilient. How many times have you learned more from your errors than from getting things right the first time? Let's take a moment to reflect on that. Each mistake we make is a learning opportunity in disguise. It's through these errors that we develop a keen sense of autonomy in our learning journey. When we stumble, we're compelled to understand where we went wrong. We dig deep, we research, and we figure out solutions on our own. This process not only enhances our knowledge, but also cultivates self-discipline. Imagine a world where we got everything right the first time, every time. It might sound ideal, but it's through the process of trial and error that we truly learn and grow. We become resourceful, independent thinkers, capable of navigating complex problems and finding innovative solutions. So, let's embrace our mistakes. They're not setbacks, but rather stepping stones towards becoming autonomous learners. Errors push us to learn independently and develop self-discipline. Isn't it true that life doesn't always go as planned? The world outside the classroom is unpredictable, and often we're thrown curveballs that we didn't see coming. Learning through error provides us with a valuable training ground to prepare for these real-world experiences. When we make a mistake, we're faced with a situation that is not going according to plan. We're forced to adapt, to think on our feet, to find a solution. This mirrors the complex situations we often encounter in the real world. The ability to learn from errors fosters adaptability, a skill that is highly valuable in our rapidly changing society. It encourages us to be more flexible, to be more open to different perspectives, and to be more resilient in the face of adversity. In essence, each mistake we make and learn from is a rehearsal for real life. It equips us with the tools and the mindset we need to navigate the complexities and uncertainties of life. Learning through errors prepares us for the unpredictability of real-life situations. How often do we strive for perfection, only to be disappointed when we fall short? This is a common experience that we all can relate to. But what if I told you that this notion of perfection is not only unrealistic, but also counterproductive to our learning journey? Indeed, the pursuit of perfection often leads us down a path of self-doubt and frustration. Instead, let's shift our perspective and start embracing imperfection. Realize that nobody is perfect and making errors is an inevitable part of life. It's through these errors that we learn and grow. When we accept our mistakes, we allow ourselves the freedom to experiment, to try new things without the fear of failure. This acceptance not only reduces the stress associated with learning, but also opens up a world of possibilities for personal and professional growth. So, let's celebrate our errors, not as signs of failure, but as stepping stones towards progress and improvement. Embracing our errors helps us accept our imperfections and grow. Let's learn to love the journey with all its twists and turns. Did you know that some of the greatest inventions were born out of mistakes? This may come as a surprise, but it's true. Many of the innovations we take for granted today were the result of an error, a misstep, or a failed experiment. This is because mistakes, as uncomfortable as they may be, often open the door to new possibilities and creative solutions. Imagine you're working on a project. You've planned everything meticulously, but something goes wrong. It's easy to feel disheartened, right? But what if, instead of seeing this as a setback, you viewed it as an opportunity? An opportunity to think outside the box, to approach the problem from a different angle, to innovate. That's the beauty of mistakes. They shake us out of our comfort zones and challenge us to think differently. They test our creativity and push us to find solutions we might not have considered otherwise. So, next time you make a mistake, remember, errors can spark creativity and lead to innovative solutions. Do you know your weaknesses? This question might sound uncomfortable, but it's crucial for personal growth. When we make errors, they often expose areas where we need improvement. It's like a mirror, reflecting back our inadequacies. But that's not a bad thing. Errors are not just stumbling blocks, they're stepping stones guiding us towards better versions of ourselves. They help us identify our weaknesses, and by doing so, they present us with an opportunity to turn these weaknesses into strengths. Imagine a basketball player who consistently misses three-point shots. That's an error, a weakness. But by acknowledging this error, the player has the opportunity to practice, to improve, to turn that weakness into a strength. In this way, errors are not just about failure, they're about growth. They provide a roadmap for self-improvement, pointing out the areas we need to focus on. So, embrace your errors. They're not just mistakes, they're lessons. Errors help us understand ourselves better and identify areas for improvement. Have you ever made a mistake and then become obsessed with finding out why it happened? This is a perfect example of how errors can foster curiosity. When we stumble upon an unexpected result, our mind naturally wants to understand the reason behind it. This curiosity is not only about avoiding the same mistake in the future, but it's also about exploring the unknown and expanding our knowledge. Just imagine, if every mistake were a question, wouldn't you want to find the answer? This is the essence of learning, the pursuit of answers. It's this curiosity that propels us to delve deeper, to experiment, to explore, and ultimately, to learn. Error, in this sense, becomes a catalyst for intellectual growth. It encourages us to question, to investigate, and to learn. It's a spark that ignites the flame of curiosity, making us yearn for more knowledge, more understanding. Errors pique our curiosity and fuel our desire to learn. Remember the feeling of finally achieving something after numerous failed attempts? That's the sweet taste of confidence, brewed from the bitter beans of error. When we stumble and fall, when our efforts don't pan out as planned, it's not a signal to surrender. Instead, it's a challenge to rise stronger, smarter, and more self-assured. Every error is a stepping stone, each misstep, a lesson learned, every failure, a chance to reassess and re-strategize. And when we finally overcome these obstacles, we don't just succeed, we grow. We grow in knowledge, we grow in experience, and above all, we grow in confidence. This confidence isn't just about knowing we can do something, it's about knowing that even if we falter, we have the resilience to pick ourselves up, learn from our mistakes, and try again. It's about understanding that errors aren't roadblocks, but guideposts. Learning from our errors builds our confidence and proves that we can overcome any obstacle.